you actually could not go past Hometime. I think you'd be looking for a long time before you found any service that actually met the standard that Hometime sets. Wow, good question. Well, essentially what we wanted, we were moving to the country, and what we wanted to have was still a bolt hole in the city that we could come and stay in when we came to the city. So it suited us to go short-term rental rather than a permanent tenant in our apartment. Yeah.
We were living in that apartment for ever since we bought it, up until the time that I stopped working. And we had properties in the country that we thought, we're not working in Sydney, why not go and enjoy those country places and have a quieter life? And it was always our intention that, yes, we would stay in the Potts Point apartment whenever we came to Sydney. But in fact, it's nearly always booked. And I think in more than 6 years, we've stayed there twice for a couple of nights. That's all. It's never available. I think I did some research. Obviously, we were looking at Airbnb as a platform to put the property on. And because we weren't going to be in Sydney, we realised, well, obviously, we need a manager. We can't do this ourselves. And I read lots of reviews. I looked at a few different options, but Hometime came up, I think, at that time as the only approved hosting partner for Airbnb. And I looked at reviews, and most people, gave it a really good review, and it seemed like a very professional platform and an organisation to me.
So because we were living out of Sydney, at least 3 hours out of Sydney, it was impossible for us to do the changeovers and all of the kind of like normal management that is needed for an Airbnb apartment. Yeah. So it really worked well to have somebody else doing that for us. Seamless, absolutely seamless. I think you contacted Hometime, and
I think we logged on somehow. We were allocated a person, and from day one, everything seemed organised quickly. Like dates set up for a photo shoot for the property, and a draft listing prepared, etc. So we really appreciated that all of that was taken out of our hands, I think, and done professionally by someone else. Yeah.
And we've had the same Hometime manager ever since we began with Hometime, and that's Ween. And she came very quickly. We had an appointment, a meeting with her in the apartment. She came really quickly and assessed it, and we were sold. She was amazing right from the beginning. I was just stunned that that she really took everything out of our hands, organised the photo shoot, organised the website. She just collected everything for us. It was incredible. How much time do you have?
Like she has been phenomenal, really. As I say, we've been with her from day one, and I think the thing that stands out with Ween is that nothing is too much trouble for her. And obviously, over that period of time, things break, something goes wrong. There's a leak. The other day there's a broken tap, or the guest is complaining about something or other. She's just straight onto it immediately. And she takes all that stress off us. She'll contact us to advise of a problem and get some approval if necessary. But she's so proactive about dealing with any issues. And it seems to me nothing is too much trouble. The toaster breaks and she says, don't worry, I've already gone out and bought one that looks the same. She's just onto it immediately.
She takes a lot of initiative. Like she's really proactive in that. So she'll be alert to an issue, so she'll say something like, well, I think we're coming up to the time when such and such needs to be replaced. Let me get some prices for you. So she does all of that stuff. She does all of the groundwork and then puts it to us with, I think this is the best option, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Yeah. So
to the point that I feel embarrassed sometimes, that I feel like we should step up here and put in a bit more effort, but she's just taking it doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I think, the other thing is that she's really good with the guests.
mm,
Um, if there is an issue, she she just has such great empathy with guests and understands what their issue is, and she um, she kind of able to soothe guests if they've got an issue.
I think she's been good at preserving our review rating. So she's right, she's allowed the guest to leave or give them a discount or something, but rather than us get a bad review. And I think that's really important when people are searching for properties. They want to see good reviews and that. So she does manage
Yeah.
that, massaging guests, our needs, as well as keeping the guests relatively happy, as well as she can.
This may be a bit of a dumb thing to say, but she feels like a friend. She's got really good contacts in the broad industry. If it's a toaster that needs to be replaced, or an electrical problem or a plumbing problem, she's got somebody on hand all the time, like just like that. Snap her fingers and it's there. Yeah.
She's
So,
magic.
that's really, really helpful for us, that we don't have to go foraging around trying to find a plumber or whatever. We had this weird thing happen the other day where the the tap in the kitchen sink got a leak in the most ridiculous place. At the top of the bar, it was spurting out water. Like, when does that ever happen? Anyway, she fixed it. I think the fact that they just handled everything, like from an assessment of the apartment to a photo shoot to getting it online really quickly, the management of our, because with short-term rental now, with the changes in the state regulations, there's this crazy quota system where you have to have so many days, under 3 weeks, so many days, and they manage that really well. Their reporting of financials is really good. I think that's been really helpful. And if we've got a question about that, Ween, gets onto it straight away and gives us an answer really quickly. So,
Or she refers us to someone in the financial area, who responds.
so really good communication. For kind of like, we don't have to sit around for days wondering when Ween's going to get back to us. She might sit around for days wondering when we're going to get back to her. Yeah, but really good communications.
Yeah, I think the surprise for me is just how easy it has been, really. That we have just sat back and wait for the statement or the money to come in each month, and if there's no issues, then it just rolls along hassle-free, and
And we could never manage the property ourselves for the cost that it is. The management fee that it is to Hometime is so reasonable for us, given that we're at a distance. We would have to travel to Sydney, and it would just cost us way much more. The fact that they provide all of the linen, the bed sheets, do all the laundry and do all the towels, and provide a little welcome pack and all that sort of stuff. It's just polished, polished and classy, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, when we decided to move out of that apartment, we considered, is it better for us to just rent it to a person, move our furniture out and just rent the apartment so we have some certainty of income? But, we weighed up our expectation that we would probably earn more by having short-term rentals. And I'm sure over the years that has proved to be true. There are periods when, because we have to meet our max, we have our maximum 180 days quota. So there's periods when we've already reached those number of days, and then we have to not take any more bookings for a bit. But generally, I would say on average, we've had at least 90% occupancy.
95
over the time. Well, it depends. Sometimes it's 30 or 31 days a month, that it's occupied. But then we get little periods, often in the winter, when I think the system stipulates a minimum 21-day booking to get around that issue. So I think, but definitely overall, we have earned more through having it on short-term rental than we would have if we just rented it, even as a furnished apartment. So,
But that wasn't our key consideration. The income from it wasn't our key consideration. It was really the availability of the apartment to us when we come to Sydney. Was the main reason we went for short-term rental rather than the amount of income.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Overall, over the whole year, yeah.
And there are certain times, there's the occasion when I think, oh, wow, that's Easter or that's Christmas, New Year, we should be getting more than that. And I think that a couple of years we've really got a premium income over the New Year period, and then other years there hasn't been a booking until last minute. So obviously Hometime system has reduced the price a bit. So there's a couple of times I've sort of thought, oh wow, we should have got a bit more than that at that time of the year given the location and everything. But we understand it's a very complex algorithm, and we trust that Hometime's working that out as best they can given all the parameters of who hasn't booked at the last minute and what demand there is. And we're also aware that there's thousands of, properties like ours out there for people to choose from. So it's a very competitive market, obviously, But no, overall, I think, yes, the income has met our expectations and we're pretty happy with that. Yeah, we definitely have. I recommended it to a close friend, and he signed up with Ween. I said Ween, he also had a rental apartment in Potts Point that he was renting on a normal, long-term rental arrangement with a real estate agent. I suggested that he wasn't happy with his income, and I said, why don't you try Hometime and do it that way? And so, Ween got him to totally renovate his apartment. He said, oh, wow, she cost me a lot of money. I spent $15,000 on new furniture. But he was so happy with it. He said she was so right about her suggestions and things. So, yeah, and he got really good income from that, way more than he was getting before as a rental. And yeah, well, look, we often sing the praises of Hometime to people, and say how efficient it's been. And, some people say, oh, what's the commission rate? And we say, well, it's 20%. And some people's reaction is, wow, that's quite a lot. And I know when I first researched Hometime, that was the higher end. And there are other companies that offered a lower commission, but they also didn't seem to have as good a service. So, yeah, as we said before, we think the 20% is good value for money.
Absolutely, for us.
Yeah.
Exceptional.
Yeah.
Professional, responsive, great communication, problem solving is excellent. It's that mix of personal and professional that's really, I think, the standout feature of it for me.
Yeah. And it seems to me, Hometime has a very good overall professional system, and I think they've refined that and worked it out, and everything seems to me to operate very smoothly.
We really did not expect the level of occupancy that we've had, to be honest. I was stunned in that first year when it seemed to me that it was well above 90% occupancy for the whole of that first year. And if we look back at the statistics, we'll probably find that it was at about 97 or 98% occupancy, which is pretty outstanding, really, I think.
I mean, given that we have same-day turnaround so often.
Yeah.
So there's a 5-hour window, for everything to be done. Even if we lived around the corner, we wouldn't have managed that, It would have been such a hassle to do that.
Yeah.
So.
A very polished, well-organised, professional organisation to manage their Airbnb. You actually could not go past Hometime. I think you'd be looking for a long time before you found any service that actually met the standard that Hometime sets. Truly, I'm not just saying that because I want to pat Ween on the back or anything like that. It's absolutely authentic answer. It has been outstanding, really.